Hey everyone, welcome to 1 Hour a Day, the channel where I spend just an hour each day learning a difficult skill. I'm Justin, and this is weeks 2 and 3 of learning to play chess blindfolded. So these last 2 weeks have just been full of learning milestones, and just 3 days into week 2, I played through my first full game of chess in my head. Now there was a couple mistakes later on, but my first mistake didn't occur until 24 moves in. So that's just wild to me. I mean, only 10 hours into this challenge and I'm seeing those kinds of results. And that's what I'm trying to show you all, is that you can see those kinds of results that quickly if you just commit yourself to learning something. The way this works, the way that I play these games in my head, is that I basically just sit here for an hour and try to visualize as well as I can the board and all the pieces. And I've actually noticed a huge improvement once I've started just mentally replaying the game as I'm playing through it. And what I mean by that is that every few moves, I'll just replay the game in my head from start to the point I'm at. And I found that that's not only helped with my memorization, like I can remember games that I played a few days ago and play through them right now just because of how well I have them memorized from replaying them. I mean, like 50 times almost. And I know that sounds crazy, but once you've done it so many times for one game, I'm getting towards the end of the game, and at this point I've replayed it, say, 50 times. You can do that in like 10 seconds, right? And that's one of the benefits of playing in your head versus a physical board, is that you can play through the game so quickly. And another benefit of this mentally replaying the games during these learning sessions is that it really helps with visualization. And if I'm, say, 20 moves into the game, sometimes I'll replay the game from start to that point like 2 or 3 times just to get a really good picture of where all the pieces are and where they can move. And when I'm making these moves, I'm not just trying to make any move or even just a good move. I'm trying to find the best move, right? Because my goal is ultimately to win a game blindfolded against somebody. And I can't be doing that if I'm just playing decent moves, because the other person will have a very clear picture as they're looking at the board, whereas I'm just visualizing it. So I have to know where every piece is to select the best move possible. And that brings me to another challenge I've run into while doing this, is because I'm playing as both colors, my turns are essentially spent countering the other color's moves. And what I mean by that is, if I make a move as white and I'm thinking of a strategy, well, black automatically knows the strategy since I'm the one making the move. And so I run into this sort of rabbit hole of countering the counter to a strategy, and it really just takes up a lot of mental resources, where I think that I wouldn't run into this problem if I was actually playing against somebody else. And that's why my goal for next week is to play blindfolded against a friend so that I don't run into that issue. And I can also just test out where I'm at in terms of my skills and sort of see if the learning I'm doing translates to my end goal. So to prepare for that game, I've been watching clips of grandmasters play blindfold chess, and I've discovered there's a really rich history involved with it, and I want to share some of those facts with you all now. Blindfold chess has been played for almost as long as chess has, with the first recorded game being played sometime around the year 700 AD. And ironically, it used to be considered dangerous, and it was often thought that the feat had the potential to be mentally damaging and that it could even cause madness. And in the USSR in 1930, blindfold chess tournaments were banned altogether as they were considered a health hazard. Of course, we know better now, and blindfold chess tournaments occur year after year all around the world. And grandmasters, the highest rank after the singular world champion, are considered to all possess the ability to play chess blindfolded and likely multiple games simultaneously. To further show you that you can learn anything you want, there was a man who wanted to show that genius occurs not from born talent but by hard work and training. This was Laszlo Polgar, and him and his wife Clara raised 3 girls to be the best possible chess players they could. The 3 girls became the 6th, 2nd, and 1st ranked women players in the world, with the youngest, Judith Polgar, being considered by far the greatest woman chess player in history. And when she was 5, Judith beat a family friend without even looking at the board. And the friend joked that while Judith was great at chess, he was a great cook, to which Judith replied, "Do you cook without looking at the stove?" Now, while I would also undoubtedly lose to 5-year-old Judith, I've been seeing consistent improvement since I started this challenge. And it's hard to explain, but going from not even being able to keep track of just 3 pieces after a couple moves, like I was doing towards the start of the challenge, to now where I played almost a full game without any mistakes, it's just been quite the experience. And this makes sense, right? There's a lot of studies that have shown that these mental muscles, things like your memory or your visualization, your focus, even things like your willpower and discipline, they're all improved through practice. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm not a disciplined person or my memory's awful, but the science shows that if you just practice these skills, you're going to improve at them. And that's sort of what I experienced, right? I said in the last video, my memory's always been awful, and even my focus. I've always had a really hard time focusing on things. You know, there was times during school where I would go to the library to study, and I would sit there for, no lie, like 5, 6, even 7 hours without starting a single thing. And going from that to being able to sit here for an hour straight with my eyes closed and just intensely focusing on a game in my head, like, it's just mind-blowing to me, but that's just what I've experienced. And now I'm going to lead into a game I played in my head a few days ago. I'm going to show it to you on a digital chessboard so you can better visualize what I'm talking about and see exactly the points that I'm trying to make. So this is the game I played on day 3 of week 2, so my 10th day, my 10th hour into the challenge, and I played through this game in my head in the morning, and then I played through it on my physical board afterwards to see if I remembered where everything was correctly. And later on in the game, I found that I had made a couple mistakes, but for the majority of the game, I actually remembered where everything was correctly, so it was a huge milestone. So this opening, I didn't know it at the time, but it's called the Scotch opening, and I just liked it because it traded off a lot of pieces quickly, and that was really beneficial for me. I figured it would help me out because there would be less pieces to keep track of, and also it got me closer to the end game, which I found was the hardest part of the game to try to figure out what a good move was. And so you can see here, I just started trading off what I could, and then after a few more moves, I got to this position, and this is where I made my first mistake. I took black's rook with white's rook, but you can see that the bishop is clearly in the way, and I just totally forgot about it. But after that capture, black's other rook took white's, then white's other rook moved into place here, black's rook took, and then white's king took. And then at this point, again, I forgot that bishop was there, so I just started trading off more material. You can see the bishop taking the knight here, and then the pawn would recapture. And then after I went through the rest of the game, I sort of just traded off each thing. I was left with just the kings and the pawns, and after I made some moves with those, I just agreed with myself to a draw because I couldn't really see how to finish the game. So ultimately, while I didn't play through a full game without any mistakes like I thought I did, this was still 24 moves in before making my first mistake, which was really just a huge milestone from where I was just 10 days ago. And that brings us to the end of weeks 2 and 3. Thank you so much for watching and making it to the end. And if you have any suggestions for next video or even for future topics for me to learn, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. So thank you again, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.